Welcome to part 4 of this Mockingbird build. Just going to start with these volume and tone pots. I just wanted to point out that the little slots at the top, that's so that you can put a flathead screwdriver in there, and when you're using a shifter to tighten up the nuts, just use a flathead screwdriver to stop the pots from twisting around, because if you don't, you'll probably find that they'll move around and you could damage or pull the wires off. So that's just something I wanted to make you all aware of. Right, let's get started on the neck. I've got some cardboard here. It's just corrugated cardboard folded over 3 times, and when we apply pressure, it's just going to stop the body of the guitar and the neck from bowing apart. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm not trying to drill these bolts, and the bolts, by the way, are just basically large screws. I'm not trying to screw them all the way into the neck just yet. I'm just trying to get the position, so I'm just screwing them in just enough to so they leave a mark. I'm going to take the neck off again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the electric drill, and I'm just going to tap some holes in here. Now I'm getting the length of screw that's going to go into the wood, and I've wrapped a little bit of cable tie around that drill bit, shorter than the length of screw that's going to go into the wood, and that drill bit is also the diameter is less than the screw, of course. Of course, I still want that bolt to have plenty of bite, but I also want to have some holes. It's just less wood for the bolt to push aside, and will make screwing in a whole lot easier. Okay, so now we can bolt it on. Of course, you don't have to tap these holes in first. You can do it by hand, and you can do it using a hand screwdriver, but it is going to be a lot more difficult. So if you're able to do this first, I recommend doing it. Alright, so that's actually rock solid. As long as those holes that you tapped aren't actually bigger or deeper than what that bolt is, you'll be fine. Alright, so now we're going to look at putting the bridge parts together. This is a real quick, easy job. Nothing needs drilling or screwing. Those holes are already pre-drilled. We've got 2 types of lugs here. One's got a head on it like a screw, a big flat top, and the other one hasn't. Now those pre-drilled holes, it is a real tight fit, so you may want to just get a mallet, and here I'm just using a mallet and a thick cloth, and just tapping them in. It doesn't take much, but if you are having a little bit of trouble, it might help. And they just slot right in. Alright, so we're looking at the back of the headstock, and we're going to look at attaching these tuning heads. Now I've got a tiny little drill bit here, and I'm going to again just tap some little holes in here for these screws to go into to attach these tuning heads. Now the reason for this is not because these screws are difficult to screw into the wood, but they are very hard to hold on to between your fingers. They are that small. So you'll find if you do drill some little holes first, it just gives something for the end of the screw to just sit into while it takes hold of the wood. If you don't drill these little holes, what will happen is you'll be trying to hold the little screw, and as soon as you put a screwdriver in between your fingers to get at the little screw, your fingers will open up and the screw will keep falling out. It's very frustrating. So if you can do this first, you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration. You can see there how small these screws are. And another thing is, don't do these up tight, because you still need to get the lug in on the other side. And also, because they are such small screws, if you do them up too tight, you do run the risk of burring the top of the head, and if you do that, you'll never be able to get them off again, or even twisting the head off them altogether. Okay, so here's that little lug that we screw in. And again, these don't need to be super tight. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a nip, but they're not going to be done up super tight. They don't need to be. And there's one of the little lugs that go in. Now once you string the guitar up and there's tension on these, a lot of that tension is going to be going sideways down the direction of the neck. So that's another reason why those little screws, it isn't necessary to have them super tight. I'm just trying to prevent you from damaging them, because most of the tension is actually put on that lug that you've put inside the hole. Alright, so here we go, the back cover. I'm going to use the electric drill on this, but these are medium sized screws, and again they go into the wood really easily just with a normal screwdriver. And here's the cover for the three-way switch. Just using a normal screwdriver this time. And they go in no problem at all. Now this is the truss rod cover, and similar problem with the tuning head screws. They're quite small, and so I'm tapping some holes for these as well, not because they're hard to screw into the wood, but they're a little bit difficult to hold in between your fingers, and it just helps to have those holes so they bite easily straight away. Alright, so we're just about ready to string up. They come with a bit of protective plastic on these pickups, so I'm just going to take them off first. And we're ready to string up the guitar. And there you have it, folks. The finished product. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I hope that these videos have been helpful.